Now, here's an interesting little phenomenon I've observed, and I've called this things that cling, and you'll see why in a minute. I've noticed if I can take any item that, well, like a fork, something long like that, and I put it in my hand, that when I open my hand like this, it just sort of clings to the hand like that, and I can't quite figure it out. Not too impressive? The thumb is kind of a bit of obvious. I think, you see, the thumb doesn't have anything to do with it at all. If you actually look at it, see it actually, it actually just hangs there. Now, I'm going to show you how this is done. Usually, someone does a magic trick, never shows anyone, but I'll let you in on a little secret.
Okay.
You see, it's interesting. When I turn it around like this, if you start to count the fingers down here, you'll notice that one's missing, but most people just assume they're all there. Betsy, why don't you give it a try, and you can see that all you have to do is hold it there. There you go. And now put your thumb up, and it works just like that. So the thing is, when people see that there's 4 fingers, they never really count to see that 5th one gets added on like that, you see. That's the part that throws them. But when you let go completely, that's another lesson for another time. Maybe I'll show you that.
That's great.
Well, this is what is commonly known as a sucker trick in the magic business, and maybe not too well named, but it kind of makes suckers out of the audience in the sense that you teach them a trick, or they think they know how something works, and then you come back with a double punch and fool them again. So they actually do get to learn a trick, but not all of it. And in this case, of course, you start out with the fork, and you say, you know, interesting thing about this silverware, it has a strange magnetic property, and you put your hand here, just as the trick was with your index finger here. And then you say, watch, when I open my fingers, it sticks to my hand. Of course, this is the first part of the sucker trick because nobody believes that. You're just clipping it with your thumb, but you're all ready to take over here with the index finger. And they go, oh, well, that's kind of lousy. You say, oh, well, you don't like the fact that the thumb is there? And then, of course, you move the thumb out of the way and just push the fork over a little bit, and they see it clinging there. So that's the first part, and they go, oh, how do you do that? And so you've sort of suckered them into that already, and they say, here, I'll show you how it's done. And then you just turn your hand around like this, and you show them the finger holding the fork in there, and then they, oh, that's really cool. So I say, oh, I'll tell you what, give it a try yourself. Now, this is what's called misdirection again coming into play, because you now have them all looking at Tiffany here as she does it, and while she's doing that, you're saying, that's really great. You're going down into your lap and picking up the knife that's been sitting there from the start. See, we're always one ahead of everybody here. I've got this sitting in my lap. Also, I'm wearing a watch. Now, in order to do this part of the trick, this extra part, you have to have a watch on. So now my arm is resting at the edge of the table. Here's the knife. I simply pick up the blade end of the knife and jam it right under my watch. You've got all the cover in the world because they're busy doing this, and probably everybody at the table is. So I've just jammed this underneath my watch band. Here's the hand going down into the lap, grabbing the knife, just simply jamming it up underneath into position. Then when you pick up the fork, of course, you put it under. You have to be a little quiet there when you do that. And as you put it underneath like that, close your fingers so that would hold, and from their point of view, they'd see you holding the fork. Then move this hand into position. You say the clever thing is that sometimes I can do it by adding this next finger, and as soon as they now count 5 fingers, they're a little bit surprised, and then you take it off and say, yeah, that is kind of weird, isn't it? Can't quite figure it out myself. And you'll see them scratching their heads on this one.